This is the Warrior Kid podcast number 39, Ask Uncle Jake. This podcast is based on the 5 Warrior Kid books. The first one, Way of the Warrior Kid. The second one, Mark's Mission. The third one, Where There's a Will. And the fourth one, The Field Manual. And finally, the fifth one, Letters from Uncle Jake. The books are about young Mark, who faces a lot of problems that kids everywhere face. But Mark gets help solving those problems from his Uncle Jake, who is a Navy SEAL and who stays with Mark in the summertime and helps him out. There's also a movie coming out this year that does a great job of showing the journey of a warrior kid, our warrior kid, Mark. And this podcast is for kids to hear some more lessons from Uncle Jake and also get a chance to ask some questions from Uncle Jake. And today, I want to talk to you about virtues. Virtues. Now, in the first Warrior Kid book, when Mark learns about the different warrior codes from different warrior cultures, he learns about the code of Bushido, which is the code that the ancient samurai used. And that code has 7 key virtues. And they are integrity, respect, heroic courage, honor, compassion, honesty and sincerity, and the last one's duty and loyalty. Now, just to remind you what a virtue is. A virtue is a quality or habit that helps you make the right choices and be the best person that you can be. And the 7 key virtues of the samurai, they're great, but guess what? They're not the only ones. And these virtues, like I said, these virtues can help guide your decision making and make you make the right choices. And if you have good virtues and you remember your virtues, then you will make better decisions and better choices. So I want to introduce you to some other virtues that are very important. And the one that I want to talk to you about today is the virtue of patience. Being patient is staying calm. It is waiting without getting mad or sad or frustrated, and being able to keep working even if it takes a long time to see the results. Patience is an important virtue for a warrior kid for many reasons. One of those reasons is that it takes a lot of time and a lot of practice and therefore a lot of patience to get good at things. No matter what that thing is, if it's Jiu Jitsu, if it's math, if it's drawing, if it's guitar, anything that you want to get good at will take a long time, and therefore you have to have patience to get good at it. Another reason patience is important is because if you have a big goal, like something you really want to achieve, it is not going to come quickly. Whether you are trying to save money, or whether you're trying to get stronger and do more pull-ups or more push-ups, or whether you're trying to build something, if you're trying to get stronger, you're trying to save a lot of money, you're trying to build something big, all of those things will take a lot of time. And that means they're going to take a lot of patience. And if you don't have patience, you won't get stronger. If you don't have patience, you won't build anything big. If you don't have patience, you won't be able to save much money. So, patience is important. It's also important to be patient because if we get impatient, which is the opposite of patience, that is when we rush and we make bad decisions or we make mistakes. So we have to be careful of being impatient. Another thing is staying patient is a good way to learn to control your emotions. That means you don't get mad when you're waiting for dinner or you're waiting for something you want and you're getting frustrated and mad about it. Don't do that. Instead, rely on this virtue of being patient. And when you control your emotions, it is a good way to practice your self-discipline because you're controlling yourself. Here's another thing. that makes patience a very important virtue. If you lose your patience, this is not a good example. And your friends and your family and your teachers will actually lose respect for you if you get frustrated, you get mad about something instead of being patient. So we have to learn the virtue of being patient, and some tips to help you with your patience, because it can be difficult to stay patient sometimes. Sometimes if you're starting to feel impatient, one thing you can do is count to 10. Before you get mad, before you say something, before you storm off, instead, count to 10 to calm down and take some deep breaths. Take some deep breaths. If you're starting to feel mad about something, take some deep breaths. That's a good way to get to calm down. Another thing you can do is you can think about the good that will come in the end if you stay calm. So if you start feeling like you're losing your patience, think about the good that will come if you can stay calm. And also, you might want to think about the trouble you might get in if you lose your temper. I want you to think, if you're starting to lose your patience, think about the example that you're setting for other people. And remind yourself of why patience is important. And remember that staying calm is actually part of the warrior kid code. It is part of being a warrior, is learning how to stay calm and patient. And if you can stay patient, this is a character trait. It is a virtue that will help you in every aspect of your life. So be a warrior kid and stay patient. Now, let's get to some questions from you warrior kids. The first question is from Tamim, who is from Germany. And Tamim asks, what do you think about ADHD? And do you think it affects a workout? So ADHD is attention deficit disorder. And this is a trait that some kids have that makes it a little bit harder for them to sit still or to pay attention or to focus on one thing for a long time. It's like having a really fast engine in your brain that doesn't want to slow down. And that means you have a lot of energy. Now, it means you probably have a lot of great ideas. You probably have a lot of great ideas because your mind is thinking of them all the time. Because you're not focusing on one thing, you're focusing on all kinds of different things. But having this ADHD might mean that you need to really concentrate in order to get focused sometimes. And that's okay. It just takes some practice. It might take some practice in doing things that might seem boring to you. Right? Even when I went to college, I had to read sometimes for 5, 6, or 7 hours in a day. And that seemed boring to me, but I had to do it. I had to focus and I had to do it. And I got better at doing it the more I did it. So these things, sitting still, paying attention, focusing, they might seem like a challenge to you, but if you practice them and focus on them, you can get better at them. But there's also some good things that ADHD can do. It probably means that you can keep going when other people might want to stop because you have a lot of energy. So for working out, you ask it if it can affect a workout. I think it's fine. Now, you might want to do workouts that are a little bit more varied, that have more different parts. So maybe instead of going on a long run that might make you bored, maybe you could do a combination of a bunch of different exercises like sprints and hurdles and jumping rope and burpees and other exercises that would keep your mind working. And of course, these will still help you get in great shape and keep your mind engaged during the workout. So I think that ADHD is something that you can control. It's going to be, you have to work at it. Just like someone that's not very flexible is going to have to stretch more. Someone that's not naturally very strong is going to have to try and exercise more. Someone that can't do a bunch of pull-ups naturally is going to have to do more pull-ups to get better at it. They're going to have to practice, and you're going to have to practice being focused and practice paying attention. But the good thing is there's also parts of it that you can use to your advantage to get better. So go get after it, Tamim. The next question is from Violetta, who is from Seattle, Washington. And she said, I want to be a warrior girl. How should I start? Well, I would suggest you start by reading the Warrior Kid books, of course. And then if you kind of follow what's in the books, start getting up early in the morning and start exercising. Eat good, healthy, strong foods. You want to learn as much as you can, which you can really do on your own by reading a lot, paying attention in school. You can start being a warrior kid by helping your parents. You can start being a warrior kid by cleaning your room and making sure your room is ready for action. Make your bed. You can be a warrior kid by being nice to others and treating them with respect. And then trying a bunch of different things, different activities, sports, music, art. And all of those things, if you practice and you have the discipline, it's a good way to practice discipline is by training sports, practicing music, practicing art. All those things will help your discipline. And the last thing I would say is you should really start having fun, because a warrior doesn't have to be serious all the time. In fact, warriors want to have some fun. So that's how you should start. Read the books. Start getting up early in the morning and exercising. Eat strong, healthy foods. Read and learn as much as you can. Help your parents. Clean your room. Help with the dishes, right? Sweep up. Do what you can to help your parents. Do what you can to do chores around the house. Make your bed. Be nice and treat people with respect. It's part of being a warrior. And then try a bunch of different things, sports, music, art, whatever it is, and have some fun. And that is the path to being a warrior kid. Let's get to this next question, which is from Riker, who is from California. And he says, I'm really having a problem with remembering things. One time I was home alone and forgot to lock the door. I thought there was a robber when my mom came home because she opened the door without unlocking. So I ran upstairs and I hid under my bunk bed. But when she yelled Riker, I knew that it was my mom. So I ran downstairs. That is why I would really like some advice about remembering. Okay. So I'm going to tell you about something that we did in the SEAL teams. It's something that we called standard operating procedures. And I know that sounds like some big words, but what it means is that we always did things the same way. As much as we possibly could, we did things the same way. The way we lined up our Humvees, we always did it the same way. The way we wore our gear, we always wore it the same way. And when I put my gear on for an operation, I always put my gear on the same way. I had it actually laid out on a shelf, and all the gear was right there, and I'd put the gear on in the same order, and when the shelf was empty, I was ready. Now, what does that have to do with you? Well, for me, I have a standard operating procedure right now for when I leave my house before I walk out the door. I touch my right front pocket to make sure I have my wallet. I touch my left front pocket to make sure I have my keys. I touch my back right pocket to make sure I have my phone. That way I know I have what I'm supposed to have. And when I come home, the keys go in the basket by the door as soon as I get home. So that's where they go every single time. And then when I go upstairs, I have a little table by my bed, and my wallet and my phone go there. That's my standard operating procedure. And when I go on a trip, I have my toothpaste, my toothbrush, my floss all in the same place, so I know I won't forget it. And I pack it the same way every single time. And that's how I remember things. By having standard operating procedures, I do the same thing all the time. So what you should have is a standard operating procedure when your mom leaves. Do a standard operating procedure. Okay, when my mom leaves, I'm going to go to the front door. lock it, tap it twice, make sure it's good. I'm going to go to the back door, tap it twice, make sure it's locked. And then I'm going to do a security patrol to check all the windows. And if you do that, standard operating procedure, you will not forget. So that is my advice to Riker. And I guess we do have one more question here. And this is from Liam, who's also from Germany. And he asks, what sort of gear do you need to start doing jiu-jitsu? Well, luckily, you don't need much gear at all to train jiu-jitsu. You can do jiu-jitsu in the same clothes that you wear to work out or train in. It doesn't really matter. You can wear a shirt and a t-shirt. Now, there's also something that you can get for jiu-jitsu called a gi. And that is a special uniform for jiu-jitsu that allows you to learn to use other people's clothing and your clothing when you're fighting against them. But you don't need a gi to train jiu-jitsu when you start. So you don't really need much gear at all to start jiu-jitsu. What you do need is a training partner. Unfortunately, you can't do jiu-jitsu by yourself. You have to find someone to train with. Hopefully you can find someone that's around the same size as you, someone that wants to also learn jiu-jitsu, and someone that has time to train with you. And then what you need is someone to teach you. And hopefully there is a school. I know I have a friend that's got a school in Germany. I know there's a lot of jiu-jitsu schools in Germany right now. So hopefully you can find a place to learn, or maybe you can find a judo academy or a judo school, or maybe you can find a wrestling school. Both those will really give you a good introduction that will turn into jiu-jitsu later. And there's also some places maybe your parents could help you find where it's on the internet and they can teach you some jiu-jitsu on the internet, and then you can practice with your friends. And you probably need your mom or dad to help you out with that. And the last thing that you need, definitely for jiu-jitsu, is a good, positive attitude, because jiu-jitsu is very hard. It's fun, but it is very hard. So make sure that the last piece of gear that you have for jiu-jitsu is a good attitude. And that is all we have for the Warrior Kid podcast this time. If you want to get one of the Warrior Kid books, or you want to get the Mikey and the Dragons books, you can go to warriorkid.com. If you want a Warrior Kid t-shirt or a Warrior Kid rash guard, you can go to warriorkid.com as well. And if you need a gi for jiu-jitsu, you can go to originusa.com and get a gi. And finally, to be strong and smart, you need the right fuel for your body. So we made Warrior Kid protein drinks so you can grow strong. We also made Warrior Kid vitamins, and we made Warrior Kid supplements that will help you focus when you need it or help you rest when it's time. And you can get the Warrior Kid fuel at jockofuel.com. And that's all we've got for today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for reading the books. And remember to train hard, study hard, work hard, get after it, and be a Warrior Kid.